Many people talk about the ups and downs of married life, but no one really prepares you for life after your spouse passes away. Welcome to Widowhood Real Talk with Tina, a safe place for widows, widowers, and their friends and family to talk about love and loss. Find comfort as you listen to honest conversations between Tina and invited guests who've experienced the loss of their forever partner. Share their stories of love, grief, and healing. You are not alone in this journey. Join today's episode and discover a wealth of resources and learn how to connect with others who are traveling the same path. This is Widowhood Real Talk with Tina.
Hey, Carey.
Hello, Tina. How are you?
Good, and yourself?
I'm doing well. No complaints.
Good. So where are you at right now in the world?
Where am I at? Is that physically or in my mind?
Both. You can answer both, whichever one.
Both. Okay. So physically, I'm currently living in Cartagena, Colombia.
Oh, Colombia. Okay.
I've been living here for 2 years. Where am I at mentally? Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if I can answer that. I think maybe as we talk, the answer to that will come out.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe we'll both discover the answer.
Okay, that's fair enough. So how did you get to Colombia?
Even before Shell passed, I told her that I wanted to move to the Caribbean.
Okay.
Because I don't like cold weather, and she doesn't like cold weather, and we both love the Caribbean. And so after she passed, I actually started physically looking for property in Caribbean. So my first choice was Tulum, Playa de Carmen, Mexico area.
Okay.
And went there in 2019, looked at property, saw some beautiful properties, great prices, but Mexico has laws that, to me, were a little complicated for foreigners to purchase property.
Okay.
In those areas, what they call restricted areas, which is near a border or a beach.
Okay.
And visited here. I came here on a cruise ship for 1 day. I said, that's kind of nice. And then came back in March 2020, like the weekend before everybody stopped travel for COVID, with some friends. I'm like, that's kind of nice. I like that. I mean, it wasn't kind of nice. It was magical.
Oh, wow.
For many reasons. And it was so magical that I immediately booked a return flight for when Colombia originally planned to open their borders for travel.
Okay.
It was June, then they pushed it back to July, then August and September. In September, they finally opened up. Came back here for 2 weeks in September. Clubs were closed, bars were closed, all the party stuff was closed.
Okay.
And I still loved it.
It was still magical.
It was still magical.
Okay.
And went back to North Carolina, and I'd already put my house on the market.
Okay.
And sold my house in November, property, one of my cars, put the rest of my things in storage or gave away, and moved it back here. Came back here for 6 weeks in December 2020.
Okay.
And the 6 weeks turned into 2 years and 2 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I was working for the school system.
Okay.
And we were working online, just like most school systems. And
Right.
And February 2021, they said, okay, we're bringing the students back into the building. And I had maybe 2.5, 3 weeks left on the purchasing process to my apartment.
Okay.
And I told my principal, I said, I need 2 more weeks. He said, I said, look, I don't have any sick days, but no, I said, I don't have any vacation, but I got 2 weeks sick days, let's work this thing out. He said, okay.
Okay.
And after a week, he called, and this was really aggravated me about the whole thing. This was not an email. This wasn't a text message. It was a phone call.
Oh, wow.
We were talking. And then after a week, he sent me a message, what's going on? You haven't been here in a week. You put in, 5 sick days. What's going on? And in my mind, I said, we talked about this.
Right.
he told me, I said, you gotta come back or resign. I said, thank you for your time. That's a no-brainer. I mean, it's not a decision. That's not a decision. That's a no-brainer for me.
You like check them out.
I'm deuces, dude. because I mean I'm not gonna I had already invested the money. The money was invested, and I wasn't
Right.
not going. And I had to be here to do things physically to
Right.
complete the process. And you're trying to tell me to choose between that and working for a school system where right now, as we speak, there are 200 to 300 vacancies. Nobody's beating down the doors to get in there.
Right. So let's circle back.
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead. Yeah.
So let's circle back. Shell, you mentioned her name. Let's talk about who she is to you.
Okay. Michelle Renee Christian was my everything.
Okay.
If during COVID, she had still been alive and COVID lasted for 10 years, quarantine, people couldn't go out, and I was stuck, and I was in the house with her for 10 years, I would have been happy.
How'd you and Michelle meet?
Say again?
How did you meet?
We met at a birthday party. It's funny. We met at a birthday party she knew the wife who the birthday party was for. I knew the husband who was throwing the birthday party. And that's where we met. And this is gonna be funny. So I was there with my friend, and the party was kind of dry. So we left and came back in an hour, and she and her cousins were there. And I saw her. I was like, wow, that woman's gorgeous. And I might say something to her tonight before I leave.
Okay.
She just shoot me down. And she went.
you had a little Mac for her.
Yeah, I was gonna shoot my shot. She was gonna have to just reject my jumper, but I was gonna shoot my shot.
Okay.
And she was sitting down on the couch with her cousins, and it was barely enough room for one more person. It really wasn't enough room. So when I sat down, I was literally sitting on her side, like the side of her thigh. And
you was going in big time.
I went in hard. So, and she told me, she told me after we got to know each other, she said when I sat down, the first thought of her mind was, who is this fool who has no concept of personal space? And I just started talking to her like I knew her.
Okay.
And I looked and saw she had on an engagement ring. I was like, damn. Oh, man. I said, I don't care. She's beautiful. I'm going to talk to her and just enjoy her company. But it come to find out, she was still wearing the engagement ring from her previous marriage. She said, I just wear this jewelry now. I just wear this jewelry. We talked. She reluctantly gave me her number. We called, we communicated, set up a date. Because at the time, she was living in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was living in, I was in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Okay.
That's right from Hampton, Portsmouth, Virginia. And we set up a date. We met at, it was Applebee's.
Okay.
I got there early because I don't like to be late. I didn't want to give up the first bad impression. So I got there early. I'm sitting down. I got the table, and I remember sitting there saying, "I'm not gonna recognize her because I was a little tipsy. It's no way she's as beautiful as I can remember. I had to be drunk for her to be that beautiful. I'm not gonna recognize her." And when she came in, I said, wow, she's as beautiful as I remember. And she sat down and I kept staring at her. I mean, I probably was eating like this. I probably was eating like this because she asked me, she said, is there something wrong? Why are you staring? I said, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable, but I said, I can't get over how beautiful you are. And we talked, we finished dinner. We went out and sat in her car and talked probably another hour and a half, 2 hours.
Wow. And what year was that timeline?
95.
Okay.
That was April of 95. Yeah,
so she leaves, and what happens next, Carey?
That night?
Uh-huh.
We just continued to stay in contact, and then we started seeing each other. And I would, come and I see, she allowed me to stay at her apartment after I don't know how long it took for that to happen.
Right.
And then she would visit me in Chester. And at the time I was living in Portsmouth, and she would visit me there. And it got to the point where every weekend I would either go to North Carolina or she would come to Virginia.
Okay.
One of the two.
And so where'd it go from there?
This would be kind of different. Huh? So we were both still married, going through the divorce process.
Okay.
She had gone over to the house where she was living to get some more of her stuff, and her estranged husband hit her, and she had a black eye. And I had gone to the basketball court that week, and I ran head first into another guy and split my eyebrow open. And I had a black eye. We both had black eyes, like different reasons, right?
But the same eye?
I don't remember.
Okay.
That I don't remember. I don't remember if it was her left or right eye. I know it was my right eye because I still have the scar.
But y'all both had black eyes around the same time.
Both had black eyes, right?
Okay.
And I was so angry, that he hit her.
Yeah.
I wanted to go over there, and but she talked me out of it. There's nothing good would have come out of it.
Not at all.
Nothing good would have come out of it. And I don't know if it was that weekend. It may not have been that weekend, but it was the weekend that Sunday before I was supposed to leave to go back to Virginia.
Okay.
And we were talking, and something just hit me. This woman has a lot of love to give, and I said, I am not going to let anybody else have it. It's going to be mine. Okay. And I told her that weekend. I said, I love you. And it made her so uncomfortable because it was so early in the relationship.
Okay.
It couldn't have been more than a month and a half, 2 months in.
Oh, that is quick. That is really early.
Maybe 2 months in.
Right.
Maybe 2 months in. And she said, I'm uncomfortable with you telling me that because I don't love you yet. I said, that's no problem. I said, I don't care. I said, take your time. I said, I'm gonna love you in a way that you're gonna fall in love with how I love you.
She said, I don't love you yet. So the potential was there that she could see that happening.
Right.
Okay.
I never thought about that until just now.
Okay. It wasn't it wasn't we're gonna break up the ship. No. It was yet. Okay. Yeah. And so what happened from there? We dated for 2 years before I proposed to her. Because I didn't want to rush her into another marriage. Because she told me she had planned on never getting married again. Okay. And when I finally proposed, I proposed to her in Hampton. Yeah, it was Hampton, Virginia. It was on Langley Air Force Base on the waterfront. Oh, it's nice over there.
Yeah, it was Langley Air Force Base on the waterfront. I proposed to her. And it wasn't random. I wrote the proposal. I don't remember it all. I had it written down. This is 1997, so I've lost it. Okay. Sadly. But it was something about two ships passing and how the winds of fate blew so that we would meet, and how now it was time for us to join and become one. I don't remember the exact wording, but I wrote it. I didn't want it to be random. I wrote it. Okay, so this was not something you copyrighted from someone else. These were all your original words. And what was her response? Was she surprised? Did she see it coming? I don't think she was surprised because I think she was waiting for me. Because I think either her daddy or her sister told me, she was wondering when I was going to propose to her. Okay. She was waiting for it. And I don't remember if she cried. I know I cried. I'm pretty sure I cried. I think I cried. I may not have cried. I definitely cried at the wedding. Okay. She didn't. I definitely cried at the wedding. She didn't cry. I cried. I don't think I cried that night. I don't think I cried that night. But she said yes, and we went to. Did we go to dinner? We went to dinner first. Okay. And went to the waterfront afterwards. Wow. Yeah. So she says yes. And what did the wedding look like, and where was it at? The wedding was in Hampton. Okay. It was a year later. It was May 1998. You didn't waste no time. No, we did it a year after. Okay, just enough to plan it out and everything. Just enough to plan it out. Yeah. My mom did the ceremony.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom did the ceremony. I'm trying to think. We had the reception. I'd have to see the building. I think it was the Omni in
Okay.
Hampton.
But it's still in Hampton.
Mm-hmm. The reception was the Omni, yep.
And what was the marriage like? What was it like you two, your lives together, things you did or enjoyed together?
We loved, well, Lionel and Kim introduced us to travel.
Okay.
So after that, we just started traveling. We started traveling together a lot.
And so let me back up a little bit. So Lionel and Kim that you mentioned, those are friends that we mutual friends that we have.
Right.
Now, you met Lionel and Kim. How did you meet them?
Kim was my commander in the reserves. Oh,
okay. So Lionel, they were married at that point in time?
Yep, they were married. Yep,
okay.
They had already gotten married. And Lionel is Lionel. So
yes.
I don't know how Lionel. So eventually Lionel and I became, better friends than Kim and I were.
Okay.
Just after we started talking, I was like, this dude is all right. He's a cool guy.
He's just low key. Now
he's low key.
Yes, and for the listeners that don't
he's very passionate.
He is. And for the listeners that don't know, Lionel and Kim Grimes, those are my children's godparents. So we were actually all in the military together in the same division, not so much in the same exact unit. And that is how Carey and I became acquaintances. I would say that we know of each other, but this is probably the longest conversation that we've probably had ever, because it's been in the midst of Kim and Lionel or passing in the military. What would you say?
Yeah, we've had, this is definitely the longest conversation that just you and I have had.
Right.
Yeah, we've interacted together for long, with all of us, but just you and I. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so Lionel and Kim, so to the wedding. So now you're married, and you were talking about Lionel's introducing you to traveling, and Lionel and Kim are like the cruise gurus. Yes.
I think they've been on well over 50.
Oh my gosh, when you go into their house and going up to the second floor, on the wall, there's just pictures from every cruise they've taken, and they have more space to be able to put more. So I see when they both retire that they would just be cruising forever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They came here on a cruise.
Yes.
And they came here on a cruise down, and I don't know, Leon later.
Yep.
And the four of them came by the apartment that day.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So now you and Michelle get introduced to traveling. What does that look like for your life? Places you remember you went together?
What it means in my life is everywhere I go now, I think about Michelle would have liked that.
Oh.
Or somewhere we have been, like I remember being here with Michelle.
Okay.
Everywhere I go, I'll walk. Like if I walk around, it's a lot of historical buildings here. Churches from the 1600s, I think the earliest churches are.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Cartagena was one of the first settlements, Spanish settlements in South America.
Okay.
So, and everywhere I go, they'll have, the captions or the letters that where you can read about the historical,
right,
about the history of whatever place it is.
Okay.
And I remember Michelle always reading them. I'm always like, as long as I see it, I'm good, because I'm not gonna.
Oh, so she's reading it out loud to you, and you're over there like da 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 da.
No, she's not reading it out loud. She's reading it to herself.
Okay,
yeah, but we'll stop and read them all, and I'm like, yeah, okay, this is what. All right, click, click, I'm good.
So, are you reading them now, and are you just okay?
Nope.
Staying true to form. Okay.
True to form. And I went to 2019. I took a cruise to Italy. I flew to Italy. Took a cruise out of Italy.
Okay.
Because that was our plan for 2019.
Oh, okay.
That was our plan. So I did it. I booked a singles cruise. Just did that.
So would you mind sharing when did Michelle take ill and what was her illness?
We found out she got diagnosed in June of 2016.
And diagnosed with what?
Yeah, that she had gastric cancer.
Mm.
It was in her stomach.
And how did you learn? Like, How was that presented to you?
How was it presented to me?
No. How did you guys find out about it? Like, what was the road to that?
She was getting heartburn a lot.
Okay.
So she scheduled what is it called?
Colonoscopy?
Not a colonoscopy. They were going through the throat.
Oh, okay. Laparoscopy, but there's something they're going in and there.
Endoscopy.
Okay.
I think it's all you medical people know what it's called. When they go in through the throat.
They're going through your throat. They're checking you out.
Right. So that's when they saw the tumor.
Oh, okay.
Did they do a biopsy? They did do a biopsy. That's at the same time when they saw it.
Oh, wow.
And they called her with the results that it was cancer. So when I got home from work that day, she met me at the door in tears. And she said, "Carey, they say I have cancer." And she was just broke down crying. And I just wanted to start crying too. But I just, held her. So it was presented to me as soon as I walked through the door.
Okay.
"Carey, they say I have cancer." And she just, that's how I found out.
But you knew she had the test. You knew those things were going on.
Right. Knew she was waiting for the results. Yeah.
And what happened? So what did you go from there as far as treatment, or what was the road forward?
We did the consultation, and originally they told us that chemo and then reduce the cancer and then surgery.
Okay.
That was the original diagnosis. But then after, I don't know, I'm not sure how many treatments of the chemo. Right. They said, well, cancer is not chemo is not an option.
Oh, wow.
Eventually she's going to die from the cancer.
How was that? I mean,
that was traumatic.
Yeah.
That was traumatic.
So you and Michelle are together in the doctor's office and they tell you that?
Yep, we're together. Because they originally told us that, and then he told us that cancer is probably not, surgery is probably not going to be an option because it spread through the inner lining of the stomach, and it was just so many of those small different growths that it wasn't just one tumor. So, but the chemo reduced the size of the tumor.
Right.
Then they said, it's a possibility that she'll be able to have surgery. And we were just so uplifted. Right. And we go back the very next time for the chemo and the consultation before that, he says that, cancer is not, that surgery is not a treatment. And she was hurt. I was furious.
Okay.
I said, you told us last time. That's not what you told us last time.
Right.
You gave us hope, surgery is going to be an option. Now you're telling us that the surgery is not an option, or if she does have surgery, it'll probably just prolong her life for a couple of weeks. Man, that's not the hope you gave us last time we were here.
Right.
So we went through the chemo that time, and that ride home, we were both so broken. We were so broken. And I just remember telling her, I said, "Shell," and I remember where I was when I said it. We were on, what's the name of that street? I can't remember the name of the street in Raleigh, but I remember it was right before we made the left turn to go home. I said, "Shell, I'm hurting right now." She said, "I am too." I said, that kind of broke me right there. She said, "It broke me too, Carey."
Okay.
And maybe, I don't know if it was that day we got home or after the next treatment. That's what she told me. She said, "Carey, I don't want you to stop doing things in life that you enjoy because of me." And when she said it, and she said, even if you do things with other people to enjoy life, I want you to do that. And I remember I just said, okay. But I remember saying in my mind, she's just saying that because she's hurting. She doesn't mean that.
Okay.
So I'm like, whatever. And I also remember saying to myself, I don't want to do stuff without you.
Right.
I want to do stuff with you.
Right.
And I don't know how long it was after that. We were at IHOP having breakfast. And I got up and I saw a friend of hers. I didn't know if the friend saw me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and sat down. I said, Shell, I saw, I'm not going to say her name. I saw such and such. And when we got to leave, that person was getting to leave too. And that's when she and Shell started talking.
Okay.
We got outside. She said, yeah, Shell, I saw Carey, but I didn't see you. She said, I was looking over there trying to see who he was with. You know, I was looking out for my girl. Michelle said, she said, don't do that. She said, don't check up on my husband.
Ooh.
She said, my husband can go out with who he wants to, and he knows that. Don't check up on my husband. And I walked away from them. I said, she meant that. And I still didn't see other people or go out with other people, but I like just.
Oh, so you're talking about she was meaning that while she was alive.
Yeah, she said that. Yes, right, exactly.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I didn't process what you were saying. I thought you said that she was thinking like when she was no longer living. No, she was saying at this moment while she was alive. At this moment,
while I'm going through this process. If I'm too weak to do it, if I can't do it, you want to do it. Do it.
Wow.
Wow.
That probably just made you love her more. It's like I'm
definitely. If that's possible.
Right.
If that's possible. And the weaker she got, the more I had to be attentive to her, and it felt so good to take care of her. It felt so good to take care of her, to the point where we went. I remember the last picture we took together. We went for a walk in. I can't remember the name of these parks anymore, but it's in Raleigh. It's a nature park. And I remember her saying, "I can't go any further, Carey." Yeah, sure, come on, baby, I'll help you. But she was really struggling on that walk. She was really struggling. And that was the last, we took a picture. That's the last picture I have of us together. I didn't realize how. So our walks went from just walks in the park like that to just a walk through the neighborhood to a walk to the mailbox.
So they just start her being weak, and you didn't really pay attention how it was taking place.
No, I was starting to notice. Okay. But in the park is when I first noticed that she was getting weaker.
Oh, okay.
So it went from the park to the neighborhood to the mailbox to the living room to the shower.
Wow.
It got shorter and shorter. You know, she couldn't take a shower alone. I had to hold her in the shower. And I might be fast forwarding a little bit, but once she got to the point, eventually got to the point where she was too weak to speak.
Wow.
And she was in the hospital. And I remember waking up because I was spending the night in the hospital. I remember waking up and she was just sitting on the edge of the bed.
Oh.
And she motioned to me. She said, "I need to use the bathroom." She did not want to use a bedpan.
Right.
Couldn't speak, but she, so I walked her. She was too weak to speak, but she's like, "Look, I'm not using a bedpan. I'm gonna use the bathroom." So I walked her to the bathroom, and if Lionel sees it, he's gonna trip her. She had me walk her to the sink to wash her hands, and then she got back in the bed and sleep. And here's something. This is funny. So she got up on the left side of the bed. The bathroom was on the right side. She still had all the intravenous cables and everything.
Right.
But the cable was not like in old days. It was on the towel with rollers. You could roll it, right?
Oh, okay.
So she got up on the wrong, and I said, "Shell, that's the wrong side, baby. You got to get up on the other side." And she gave me a look. She didn't say a word, but the look said, "Fool, do you realize how difficult it was for me to sit up? If you don't get your simple-minded ass over there and get my pole and wheel it over here and help me to the bathroom." I said, "Okay, babe, I'll get the pole." Her look was like, "For real, fool? Man, get that goddamn pole and walk me to the bathroom." I'll get the pole.
It's the things you can say with those eyes when you've been talking to somebody. You know what they're thinking.
He was like, "For real."
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is amazing to be able to find laughter in some things.
Indeed.
So how soon, or what was the timeline in your mind after that before Michelle was no longer here?
I knew it was just, it wasn't, it was, I knew she was never going to leave the hospital.
Okay.
At that point. And maybe the next day, maybe a day after that is when the hospice nurse or the hospice counselor came in and told her, you know, it's time to go to the hospital because
Okay.
there's no, we're at the end. And she's like, okay.
So that brokenness just got bigger, that brokenness being continued.
As far as her physically?
No, you, from that moment of hearing the doctor saying that the chemo's not going to work and surgery, that brokenness just got bigger and bigger. It didn't.
No, it was that day. And then we kind of settled into, okay, all right, let's accept it, and then let's just, you know, just enjoy life as we can. As best we can. Yeah. So it didn't. It wasn't a continual continuous state of brokenness, and no, it wasn't like that.
So going back to you to live life what you can, what did you change or do differently after hearing that diagnosis that you didn't do before?
Together or just me?
Just in general, since the doctor said that, you said, I think I heard you say that you were going to live the life that you have. What did that mean? What did that look like for you?
I would say it just went from us being able to go out together to only being able to take a walk to the living room together.
And that was enough.
And that, yeah, whatever, you know, just, yeah. I remember one night, I remember she hurt me so bad. She had no idea that she did. I never said anything to her. And I never let her know what she said hurt me, because it was to the point where she was too weak to work. She could still move around, but she couldn't go to work anymore.
Okay.
And she said, I'll be glad when I'm well enough to go back to work. And I said, back to work? I said, how about, and I didn't say anything out loud. I literally rolled over and just cried. You know, just tears just rolled out of my eyes, because I was like, you know, why don't you want to get well enough for us to start enjoying life together? Why do you want to get well enough to go back to work?
Okay.
Work, baby, for real? Effing work? Why can't you want to get well enough for us to travel together again?
Okay.
But you know, but her going back to work was her being normal again. Okay. So that's why I know she didn't mean it in malice, but
right.
You know, when she said that, it just the way it came out, and me like, we can't even travel anymore. Hey, go back to work. F work, Shell.
Right.
Holy cow! That caught me bad. It hit me hard. It really did.
I can see what you're saying. In her mind, it equated to normal life, being able to do everything else. But in your mind, you're right there at that moment. Right. I want to be able to have you back to do that. Work is the furthest thing from your mind.
I want my wife back. You know, my
that makes sense.
Physical, let's do everything together, enjoy life together, wife. Not the wife that can go to work.
Right. Carey, what year did Michelle pass?
December 2018.
December? Wow, that was not that far after Mark. It was not even a full year.
After
my husband passed. He passed March of 2017. Okay. I knew it was after, but I didn't exactly remember the exact timeline.
December 17th. December 19th, 6 days before Christmas.
What was that Christmas like?
I had family in the house because, you know, they come down for the funeral. Some of them stayed. My sister stayed. Who else stayed? I think my cousin Charles had come down because he didn't make the funeral, but he came down for Christmas. Okay. So he was there for Christmas. And I don't remember. The main thing I remember about it was Christmas morning, the hot water heater broke.
Oh, great.
The hot water heater went out. And the hot water heater that we had was like maybe 6 months old. It was about 6 months old. Yeah. Because my cousin and I, we took it out and went to the store December 26th, because everything was closed Christmas. We went December 26th, right. Back
26. And they said, you can't return it. You got to have this, you got to have that. I'm like, we can't return it. So we kept it, went to a different store, because we bought it from Lowe's. They wouldn't allow me to return it. So I went to Home Depot to buy a new one.
Okay.
And I called the number on the hot water heater, and they gave me a code. And when I took it back to Lowe's and gave them the code, they refunded me the money. And I'm saying to myself, that's got to be the pissiest customer service, because they should have known, well, call this number.
You could did it right there.
And then we can return it right now. That aggravated me about Lowe's. That crap, because, because all they had to do was say, call this number, because it had to have happened before.
Exactly.
But for them to send me out the store with that busted hot water heater, knowing I had a house with no hot water,
right?
That annoyed me.
I think it's still annoying you right now.
Yeah, that gave me a case of the rump.
That's it. Wow, that
had me heated.
So what was it like? So people were there for they were there for the funeral, and then people were there for Christmas.
Yeah.
At some point, everyone else had to go home. Do you remember how that was in the timeline for you?
Nothing significant stands out.
Okay.
I would say I just remember being in that bed alone.
The bed alone.
The bed. Yeah, I just remember being in that, because I don't think Michelle ever realized how important her touch was to me. I don't think she ever no matter how many times I told her, I don't think she ever fully understood how important it was to me.
Okay.
So when we lived in Chesapeake, I watched TV in the bedroom. She watched TV up front on the big TV.
Okay.
I would always go to bed first because I had to get up earlier.
Okay.
I had to get up. I don't know. But I would always go to bed first. And she would be up front watching TV. I would call her, Shell, come on, babe. Whatever you're watching, come watch in the bedroom. And I would go up front, and she would be on the couch asleep. I'm like, Shell, what are you doing? I said, come to bed. And she'd be like, just let me take a nap. I said, take a nap? I said, it's 10:30. Come to bed. And I could not go to sleep until I felt her touch. If she was in the house.
Right.
If I was away on reserve duty, or for some reason she wasn't sleeping at home that night, but if she was in the house, I had to touch her to go to sleep. If there's nothing more than me just putting my arm over and touching her stomach, and I said, Shell, let me come in. And that would mean for her to just let me lay between her legs with my head on her chest until I fell asleep. And then I'll fall asleep, and then I'll roll over and then be able to go to sleep alone. But I had to touch her to go to sleep. I don't think she ever realized that I wasn't playing around with that. It was a game. Right. How important that was for her.
And so being in the bed, how did you find to adjust to that?
I did a whole lot of pillow hugging.
Okay.
I did a whole lot of pillow. And COVID was really the worst because, I was in the house by myself, couldn't have guests, couldn't interact with people. I was just home alone so much.
Right.
That was a cold, and that was after I had come here the first time.
Okay.
And I'm like, I got to get back to Cartagena because it was weird because I met a woman, just talked to her. She gave me her number. We didn't go out, anything. We just communicated. When I got back to the United States, she Facebook friended me.
Okay.
And then we just started communicating more often. And then when I came back in September, we had already set up, to see each other when I got back here.
Right.
And the morning I left here, my last day here, I remember waking up with her in my arms and just crying because I had to leave. I just cried that morning because I had to leave.
Okay.
To this day, I still sleep better with a woman than I do by myself.
Okay, that's fair. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
So dating, what was that like for you and Michelle after Michelle's passing? Was your heart in it, or just company, or what did it mean for you?
Well, the morning before we went to the hospital the last time, we got up that morning. I'm gonna tell you something else too. The morning before we got up that morning, and she started just asking me questions, and telling me things. The insurance is here. The paperwork is in this folder. I got this insurance with this company. She just started telling me everything because at that point she knew she didn't have a lot of time. Okay. Right. And she said, who is your next wife going to be? She said, who is your next wife going to be? I said, Shell, I don't have anybody picked out. She said, I said, matter of fact, I don't know if I'll ever get married again because I don't think I could do this again.
Okay.
She said, you're going to get married again. She said, you told me. Because I told her, I said, when you die, I'm going to remarry. Because my mom told me, she said, if a man remarries after his wife dies, that means that he had a good relationship, a good marriage, and he wants that again.
Okay.
So that's how I looked at remarrying.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to remarry because I had a great marriage. And I honestly thought it was going to be easy to find somebody to love me like she loved me. Not. No.
Okay.
So when I started dating, I was dating with the purpose of finding a wife.
Okay.
I'm going to find a wife because I want to be married again because marriage is great.
Okay. Not so much.
Not so much.
So what is different about Carey in Michelle's absence? What's different with you?
Other than the fact that she's not here and I really feel like a part of me is gone, I would say the biggest change in me is my relationship with God.
Okay.
Without question.
How is that? So two things so a part of you is gone.
Yeah.
I hear those words and I know what it's interpreted in me, but if you to try to explain that to someone, what does that mean?
She and I we were a being.
Okay.
It was not Carey and Michelle. It was whatever we were, that's what we were. We were an entity. We were a being. We were one. We were one. And my interpretation of Genesis, where God explains the creation of man, and when he took the rib out of man, if you read that, it's everything woman is, everything came out of whatever Adam was at that point in creation. It didn't, it was no dirt and blowing life into it like what Adam was. Everything woman is, God took that out of Adam.
Okay. So
when man and woman join, it's the recreation of the original creation.
Okay.
So that's what Shell and I were God's original creation. We were the Shell and Carey version of God's original creation.
And so you say your relationship with God is not the same. What does that look like?
I don't know what it looks like, but every sermon I hear, I say that didn't work out for me, for me and Shell.
Oh.
Every sermon I hear, I compare it to, ask and you shall receive. I'm like, I asked, I ain't get it.
Okay.
God is able. I said, well, he's able, but he ain't, that don't mean it's gonna happen. There's nothing impossible. I'm like, yeah, well, okay, God created everything, but my wife is gone. So I'm not asking for anything else anymore because what I wanted most, I didn't get. I'm not asking for anything else. I'm not asking for anything else. If you ask me to pray for you, I'll pray for you.
I'll pray for Tina. I'm not praying for me anymore because what I wanted most, I did not get for
So
whatever reason. So
Mm.
that it's God's plan. God works in mysterious ways. God's timing is perfect. I don't want to hear that. That means nothing to me. I mean, that's not okay. It's not, and I'm not saying I don't believe it, but it is no comfort to me
Yes,
whatsoever.
I can see that.
Whatsoever. No comfort. Absolutely none.
So have
God,
you,
yeah.
I appreciate you being honest with that, because this type of loss hits hard. It shakes the core of who you are in so many different ways. And a lot of times people try to placate or give you little niceties and different things instead of accepting this is how you feel.
Right.
And I think it's important to be able to be honest about how you feel. Before Michelle passed, was there someone else close to you that you've experienced death or something, a loss like this? Great.
Only up with my mom.
Okay.
Yeah. And she gave me when like, days before she died, she gave me a new outlook on life.
How so?
So we were in the hospital and it was at the point where she had accepted death.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go. Yeah, and I'm cool with it. We were talking about, she said, I want to see Redrick and somebody else. I don't remember who the other person was, but Redrick is my uncle. It's her sister's husband.
Okay.
Lived in Wilson, North Carolina. Mom's in the hospital in Hampton, Virginia.
Okay.
And she got diagnosed in November. She died in February. It was not wait.
What was she diagnosed with?
Pancreatic cancer.
Okay.
No, wait. No. Ovarian cancer.
Ooh, that is very swift.
Which is kind of curious because she had a hysterectomy. I'm like, how did she die from ovarian cancer with no ovarian?
Wow. Well, you can have a partial hysterectomy. May not always have had a complete one.
So, yeah. So anyway, she said, "Where's Reggie? I want to see Reggie today." I said, "Mama, I don't think he's gonna make it. Today. He's in North Carolina." She said, "Well," I said, "He might be." She said, "Well, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow." Like,
oh.
I said, "What you mean, Mama? You going home tomorrow?"
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Carey, if you're saying that home is heaven, yes, I'm going home tomorrow." How is she so comfortable saying that?
Mm.
And I said, "Well, Mama," I said, I guess we need to. I guess I need to enjoy, the time I have left with you." She said, "Now you're starting to think right."
Okay.
From that point on, I'm like, I'm going to be happy, and when I go, I go. But I'm not going to be sitting around. I might be getting off track here.
No, go. You're fine. Go right ahead, Carey.
I don't understand people who make decisions based on what can happen.
Based on what?
What can negatively happen.
Okay.
So people look at me and say, I moved to Colombia. I didn't speak Spanish. My Spanish now is to the point where I can get through a day without using Google Translator. But
okay,
I still can't understand a complex Spanish conversation.
Okay.
I can watch a movie or listen to a Spanish teacher who's talking like he or she is teaching and understand like 95% of that.
Oh, okay.
If I walk past two Colombians or two Venezuelans talking on the street, they might as well be, it's like me trying to read Egyptian hieroglyphics.
I mean, they're going fast. I mean, you're still better than me.
It's machine gun Spanish, and they're using slang.
Okay.
They're not enunciating every syllable of every word.
Right.
One word might be 3 words. Just like if I tell you I don't want to go, you might say that I don't want to go. But if somebody learning English, like, the hell does I want to go mean?
Right.
So anyway, I forgot where I was going with my point. What was I going?
You talked about your mom saying that she was ready to go.
So, yeah, right.
And you said that you were going to start living life, and you understand when people make decisions off the negative.
Right. So when I moved here, I didn't speak Spanish. I knew maybe 2 people, not just knew 2 people. And people, how did you do that? I'm like, because I saw that as a way to start life over.
Okay.
Did I just get? Okay, no, I thought I got the low battery. Make sure I had my battery in that.
Okay. Do you want to pause and you can go plug
Yeah.
it in? You got
Yeah.
cord?
Pause it. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on one second. So you were talking about life and how much you moved to Colombia and you knew two people and now you're able to understand somewhat of the dialect, the language there.
Right. Where I was going with that was, how did you do that? Weren't you afraid? Well, I'm like, afraid of what? Afraid of what? I don't want to do that because, if I do that, this might happen. What about if the Colombian government gets overthrown? I'm like, are you serious? That's what you're basing your decision on moving somewhere that you might enjoy based off the stability of the government there, as if you don't have, there's no problems in the United States. That's how you're moving forward in life. The what ifs, bads can happen.
Okay.
And so I'm not saying, I walk into a lion's cage and like, I'm not afraid of what, because if I walk in there, a lion will eat me. That's just stupid. But
right.
To try to postulate all the negative things that can happen from a decision, as opposed to the positive things about it, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to move forward looking at what bad can happen and base my decision off of that.
Okay, that's fair. I want to circle back to something, if you don't mind.
Most definitely.
So you have, I think, two things. So one, you have your mom passing and having peace with that. And if I heard you correctly, altering the way you have seen life since then.
Yes, ma'am.
And now you have the love of your life passing, which has now shattered your relationship with God, if I'm hearing you correctly. Or how would you describe that?
I wouldn't say shattered it. I would say altered it.
Okay, how does those differ? What does that look like then?
I still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus Christ. I still have faith. I just don't ask for anything anymore.
Okay.
I don't pray for things.
Okay.
I rarely pray anymore.
So no communication. So altered looks like no communication with God.
Much less communication.
How has your faith been part of?
Thankful. I still say thank you. I still consider myself blessed, and I can still consider what I have through His grace, but I don't ask for anything else. Not health, not anything else.
Okay.
Not ask for anything else. I don't want to get told no again.
Okay.
I don't want to get told no again. There's nothing more valuable that He could have given me than Cheryl's life.
Okay. Do you feel like that was done to you, or that was part of life's existence?
No, it wasn't done to me. It just was part of the plan. But being part of the plan gives me no comfort.
Okay.
It doesn't make me say, okay, all right, okay, God, I'm okay with it because it's part of your plan. No, I'm not okay with it.
No.
I don't like it at all. And I was thinking something other. I was talking to a guy the other day, and we were talking about how, what would your life change if you hit the lottery? If you had an additional $10 million, because for a non-millionaire, $10 million is a lot of money.
Right.
That's a lot of money for me. So I would say I would just buy more stuff and be more indulgent, because and probably help more people.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be any happier or any less happy.
Okay. I know for me, the lack of Mark's existence altered the way I see things in the world, what I value versus what I don't value, what would make me happy or doesn't. And things don't do it. It's something I can enjoy, I can appreciate, but I don't find my joy in tangible objects. I can relate to how that wouldn't particularly make life any different. I can relate to that. So if I hear you correctly, you accept that this is God's plan, not happy about it.
No.
You still believe in God. You just don't like how this has worked out. Do you think that joy is possible for you in life anymore?
That's a good question, Tina, because at this point, because people say joy, happiness, and pleasure are not the same. And I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't know what the difference in joy, happiness, and there is a difference in joy and pleasure, or happiness and pleasure. Mm-hmm. But I can't see how. I don't know. I think maybe if I met a woman and the relationship was as good as it was with Michelle, I don't think I'd be happier. I just think I'd be in a different state of happiness.
Okay.
Because, and this is going to sound, this might sound a bit somewhat contradictory to what I've said earlier, but, or it may not. Even when I was with Michelle, I still met other women. I was like, wow. Not that I would rather be with that woman than with Michelle, but I still met other women. I think I could be happy with her. I think, without spending time with her.
Right.
And that's just based on,
that's based on the eye looking. I mean, you're not investing time, but things can look good from the outside. Then you get in and be like, oh, that grass is dirtier over there than what I had.
Yeah. I think the grass is green. Get over there and it's AstroTurf.
Right. I mean,
yes.
I don't think there's anybody looking that doesn't go, okay, that looks good, but I'm satisfied where I'm at. But you can appreciate the things. You can appreciate the beautiful flowers around. You don't mean you're picking any of them. It's just that you saw them. Do you think it's fair to expect some woman to measure up to who Michelle was? And is that fair for you or her?
And I don't think it's not. And I don't think I'm comparing women to Michelle, because I was in and I'm gonna use the word relationship really loosely, with a woman here who, she is the only woman that I have met who I think loves me as much as Michelle did.
Okay.
She truly loved me. I could tell she loved me. But, and I loved her, but there were things about her that made me reluctant to enter a relationship with her.
Okay.
So it was things beyond love that I was reluctant to commit to her.
That's fair.
But as far as how I know how I made her feel and how she made me feel, I know she loved me.
It was genuine.
It was genuine. No, and she is the only woman I've ever met in life that I knew loved me like Michelle.
So one of the things I think I heard you say is you think that you could possibly have some resemblance of happiness if you were able to be in a relationship to the level that you and Michelle were in. And that is my question. Is that fair to you to expect to be able for that to happen, or to someone else?
Okay, so right. So I was in a relationship with another woman, and I liked everything about her, but I could tell that she did not love me the way I needed to be loved.
Okay, so right there, you are defining how you need to be loved, not right. Michelle loved, because that's never going to happen again, and no one can equate to that. Okay, so you're looking for, now that you know how Carey needs to be loved, looking for someone to be able to do that. That is a reasonable expectation.
Right. So woman number one, great habits, great this, great that, great that. But I could, the love wasn't there, and I didn't feel it. Woman number two, the love was there, but she was lacking all the other qualities that the first woman was. Both of them were beautiful, actually same age, their birthday in the same month, and they hated each other. But if I could come, I actually, this, I don't know, you could edit this out if you need to. I have.
This is not This is not PG. So go ahead.
I had a Build-A-Bear. I have a Build-A-Bear of the women I've dated since I've been here. I want her this, 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 her this. And if I could get all these things from all these different women, that would be my Build-A-Bear woman.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this. Have you spent any time learning to be happy with Carey?
Good question. So I'm happy. That's where the happy, pleasure, joy.
Okay, let me use the word content. So let me. Have you learned that? What would happen if you don't get another love of your life? What if you're single for the rest of this life? What would that look like as far as you learning to be okay with you?
Okay, here comes a lot of adult stuff now, non-PG. So
not just sex, not just
right,
but literally to be in a relationship, a committed relationship for the rest of your life. What if that doesn't happen?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with it because there's pluses and minuses to both. It really is.
Okay.
Even there's pluses to being in a relationship, and then here, I don't know about the United States, but here there are a lot of minuses to it because I'm crazy. I'm like insanely crazy about Latina women. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Michelle knew it.
Okay.
If you ask Michelle, who is Carey's Hollywood wife, Eva Mendes, she would say that, and she wouldn't even take a second to respond.
Okay.
She knew that. And I think I started liking Latino women when I was stationed at Fort Bragg.
Okay.
And there were Puerto Rican and Mexican women there. Because when I was in Korea, there weren't a lot of Puerto Rican and Mexican women.
Right.
And when I got to Fort Bragg, I was like, wow, this is something different right here.
Mm-hmm.
So being here in Colombia, and it's like 99.9% Latino women. Every now and then you see a European or African American woman here, and it's not a color thing because the women here are from darker than you to white.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something about Latina women. I'm just so.
Oh, you know what? We didn't even make mention. What ethnicity was Michelle? Just to bring that into.
She was Black, African American.
Okay.
Whatever the correct terminology is being used nowadays.
Right. Okay. How is Carey now? When we started this conversation, you said you don't know where you're at mentally, and you reached out to me and you wanted to have this conversation. Right. What were you thinking we would unpack, or things we would discuss that you haven't done just in your own space in your mind?
I don't know, because I thought I'm looking at it as opening the door that I have in my house of me.
Okay.
That hasn't been opened yet, or I may not even know exist.
So have you connected with other people that are widows or widowers?
No, I haven't.
Is that intentional or just unintentional?
It's unintentional.
Okay.
And I didn't do it when I was in Raleigh because I had a really negative experience at the hospice.
Oh, okay. What did that look like?
So they have a post-widower, I guess, what's the word, program for people to connect.
Okay. Support group, something like that?
Support group, there you go, okay. Support group. But while we were there, I don't know if it was the director or who she was, but she said, let's talk. So it was me, my sister, and Michelle's sister, and she was telling us about all the different things they had available and blah, about the hospice, how it worked. And she said, okay, now I need to talk to you, alone. So she started talking about a lot of financial things, and Michelle, she was like, and how you gonna? And it had already been approved by insurance. She said, well, just because she's here in hospice, it can last. She can stay on, intravenous feeding for weeks or months, and this could get expensive. And how you gonna pay for this? And she might not, it might be months before she passed. And it really made me uncomfortable. I was like, yeah, it's all uncovered by insurance because it got approved before we even came over here.
Right.
And later that night, she came to the room. She said, "Come here." She said, "You don't have to worry. The doctors told me she's not going to last more than 2 more days, so you don't have to worry about that." And that
so insensitive.
that pissed. I was like, wow.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So and they reached out to me, how come you haven't come? And I told them that story, and they were like, wow, we're gonna look into this, but they never got back with me about it. What, so I never went back there, and I never, and I had a friend who we call each other cousins because we have a mutual cousin. But we aren't actually cousins. But we were good friends. He passed maybe 3 months. No, it wasn't even that long. Maybe 2 months after Shell passed.
Okay.
And so his wife reached out to me, not to so much connect in a widow, but reached, because I was doing some work for her.
Okay.
And she would talk to me about her experiences after Richard passed, and it made me super uncomfortable.
Oh, how so?
She was telling me stories about how Richard came to her and talked to her and told her things. And it just, I'm like, that's not, that makes me uncomfortable. I'm not looking for the ghost of Shell to come sit down and have a conversation. And it wasn't like, I had a dream, and in that dream, I had, Shell, like Richard came to me and told me. I'm like, that's making me pretty uncomfortable.
I can hear what you're saying. I think sometimes we don't realize that everybody's experience with being a widower is different. And to not have an expectation that what you're experiencing, that I'm automatically experiencing. Mm-hmm. To create a space to be open to just say what your experience is and to listen. Mm-hmm. That is different. So what I'm hearing, you've had very negative interactions and connections with people. I'm sorry, say again?
With widowers or widows.
People that are supposed to be helping you in this process, but are bringing more negativity than anything positive. I appreciate you reaching out to want to have this conversation. So what would you, if someone said, well, how could,
one more. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Another close friend of mine, we found out maybe a month apart that our wives had cancer.
Wow.
His wife had lung cancer. She died a year before Michelle.
Okay.
And I was telling him things, this, that, and the other, about how I expected to be. And he came back to me. He said, "No, Carey, it ain't like that."
Hold on. What did you tell him about what?
About what I expected his relationship with his late wife to be after she passed, how I expected my memories and relationship to be with Shell. He said, "No, man, it ain't like that. It's not, no." Because I told him something along the lines of, "She's still with you." He said, "No, Carey, she's not." And then after Shell passed, I don't know if we've ever talked about, we went out a couple of times, but I don't know if we ever actually sat down and talked about our experiences, how we felt after our wives passed. I don't think we ever had that conversation, specific conversation. And I think he's since remarried because he, matter of fact, he's like, I know I don't want to date again. I'm like, really, Harold? Wow. And what I told him was, I said, "Harold, you're a great dude, man." I said, "Maybe it's a woman out there that needs you."
Okay.
So I know you miss Amy, but I said, "You're a great dude, man. It's a lot you can contribute to a woman's life, man. You're a great dude." So, I mean, maybe look at it as like, yeah, Amy's gone and I'll never have her again, but let me go out here and be a great dude to some woman who needs a great man in her life.
So how have you taken that same advice for you?
I always knew I was a great dude.
Oh my God. Here you go.
I got proof. I got proof I'm a great dude.
Okay.
I'm a great dude. I'm trying to tell you. I'm a good catch.
Argue with you.
And the proof, and this is my proof, this is my testament. After Shell passed, her sister still calls me her brother. And her sister still loves me. So if I was not treating her sister like I should, if I had not been a great husband to her sister, when Shell died, our relationship would have died.
That's true.
She still loves me and still looks at me as her brother. That's my testimony.
Okay, I'll give you that. That is precious.
That's my testimony. Her family still loves me.
That is huge.
Especially her sister, who was her best friend.
When you think about that you are now a widower, which I am sorry for, what are some things that you think people don't realize but they should be more considerate about when interacting with someone that's a widower, from your perspective?
I don't think I've had a situation where someone was just super insensitive to the fact that I was a widower, or even knew or didn't know and said something that was just super insensitive. I don't think I've had that. Well, yeah, it happened one time.
Okay.
Where somebody said something to me and told me that Michelle would be ashamed of me because I did something. I'm like, don't use her against me like that. You don't know her. You didn't know her.
They didn't even know your wife. They just used that haphazardly statement.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's the only time.
Okay. Does it come up?
No, it doesn't come. They did it out of anger.
Okay. Is that something that comes up in regular conversations with people, or is it something they really would have to dig to know about you?
That was just one time where a person knew me and she said it to be mean.
Okay.
She was intentional. She was intentional being mean.
Okay. That is definitely mean. She was successful at that.
Yeah.
So is Carey content with himself?
I think so. I think if I was in a relationship, I don't know that I would be more happy or more content. I think I just would be different. I think. Okay. I think. Not being there.
Right.
And I'll start looking at it, because going back to my affinity with Latina women.
Right.
So, and back to when I was with Shell, and I was saying how every now and you meet somebody and you look at it like, wow, you're like, and it's more than and you both catch each other's glance, and you both like, oh, it's like that, oh my God, for both of y'all.
Oh yeah, that's really cute in the beginning. It's the long game that matters.
Right. But that happens. Me and Lionel call it getting Krispy Kreme. Because he said his brother was at a Krispy Kreme one time and saw this woman that just overwhelmed him so much that he ended up leaving without his donuts. So, but I got Krispy Kreme in the United States probably, it happens like once every 18 months, just that, you see beautiful women all the time. But I get Krispy Kreme here like 2 or 3 times a week.
And so Krispy Kreme is good. But what happens if you eat Krispy Kreme all the time? You got high cholesterol.
Okay, I get high cholesterol and get fat. I think I get high cholesterol and fat and start losing muscle.
And you are not a get fat, high cholesterol kind of guy. So that making of a relationship, the idea of committing to someone and doing all that, do you think you have that in you yet?
I don't know.
That's
because I'm right now I'm dating different women.
Okay. You're not in an exclusive relationship.
Nope.
And so I heard you say before that idea of there's a lot to make yourself vulnerable like that if you got married, could that person pass? Could I be in this state again? Is that something that you would be willing, and what that would look like?
Yeah, we have a lot of nicknames. So me and my best friend, we call it finding your end game.
Okay.
End game. And we say, oh man, she's end game material right there. Physically, at least, Right. She's end game right there. But is she turnkey? Once I move in, I might have to change the countertops, get a different brand, upgrade the AC system. Is she turnkey? Or
right.
I'm not at this age at 60. I'm not trying to.
How old did you say you were?
60.
Okay.
I'll be 61 in 10 days.
Okay.
I'm not looking for a fixer upper.
Okay.
She has to be turnkey. So, if I find what I think is turnkey, am I willing to stop dating the other women?
Okay. Okay.
Because,
so commitment like that may not be in you anymore.
I think it's in me, I guess, because it was in me once. So, and I have wanted a wife since I was 5 years old.
Really?
5 years old. I remember something my mom said to me, and I remember us talking, and I want a wife. And I think it was because I wanted to be the husband that my mama didn't have. And the daddy, I won't be a daddy more, but the daddy I didn't have. So that kind of drove me to always, I want a wife.
And you did that. Do you have any children, yes. Carey?
I have a daughter.
Okay, how old is she?
What year is this? She's 32.
32. Wow.
Three grandchildren.
Wow. So how has that been? So you have been the father that you didn't have.
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about that.
Okay, that's fine. But you have been
a whole nother painful experience.
Okay, that could be a conversation for another day. Yeah. That could be a conversation. You have had a full life and is still having life right now. Indeed. I mean, it's pretty brazen to leave the States and move to Colombia and say this is where you want to start life over. That is impressive in itself. I am blown away when I heard that you were moving. I was like, he going where? Okay. But I understand not wanting to be in the house that Michelle was in. That is too painful. At least for me, I know that it was. Is that what drove your move to Colombia?
No. I was going to move. My plan was to retire June 2022 and move. So my original plan was retire June 2022, buy a smaller house in North Carolina, and then buy something in some warm, doesn't get cold, beautiful beaches place on the planet.
Okay.
That was the plan. And it happened February 2021 because my boss was acting crazy.
Oh, okay.
And thought he had leverage.
Okay.
So I ended up retiring February 2021 instead of June 2022.
So what is your life? So you retired. So are you working now part-time or doing
Okay. That's hilarious.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
So what do your days look like? Besides the Krispy Kreme.
Okay, all right. So I'll give you yesterday. We do yesterday. So yesterday I got up, cooked breakfast. Friend I was with, we met up with some friends here from the States. We took a boat trip to this. It's a place called Cholon, and it's like a drive-up boat club.
Okay.
Like tables and bars in the water. The water is waist deep.
Okay.
And it's just like dozens of boats playing music. They play music. People drinking, having a party in the Caribbean water. It's just a party.
Okay.
And then came back from that, went to dinner, and then went to a bar while I was waiting for them to go to another bar. Had some drinks at that rooftop bar, and left that bar and went to the club.
Okay.
And then came back and had a 9 o'clock massage this morning.
Okay.
And haven't been, been sitting around all day waiting for this until then.
Well, this is not a hot compared to yesterday. This is not a highlight.
So it'll be a highlight because I have a friend. I have a date tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, so I have a date tonight. She's never come over late anyway. But
okay.
Some days and so tomorrow I'll probably go to the gym. I might go to the beach, maybe. I might do nothing.
Okay.
Some mornings I'll get up and I'll watch YouTube Spanish lessons for hours.
Oh wow. Okay.
I started doing Duolingo again because it's basic, but it still helps you practice.
Okay.
Some days I do nothing. Some days I do a lot.
Okay. Have you ever in this journey, I guess, done any work on yourself being a widow or widower, trying to unpack what that looks like or your life? Or you just been doing it, just living it, no particular digging into it?
No, not digging into what's going to better me, what's going to help me improve, what's going to change me, better or worse. No, I'm just...
No, let me say it differently. Not so much a self-improvement, but understanding some of the feelings that are common with being a widow or a widower, or that journey of that and looking into that and seeing how that may impact you in different ways.
It's not a mission that I'm on.
Okay.
What happens and what I learn as I go through this new journey is what happens and what I learn as I go through this new journey. It's not a mission for me to redefine myself or come to grips with anything or accept anything. No, it's just like what I learn tomorrow, I learn tomorrow. And I don't learn it, then I'll learn it tomorrow. and then when there is no tomorrow, there is no tomorrow.
That is fair enough. I think being in Colombia is, I guess, a pretty cool place to be living and seeing how life goes, and you take it as it comes.
I can look out the window right now and see the ocean. Or I can look this way and see the harbor. So
yeah, I've seen some of the views that you've shown on Facebook.
Cruise ships come in over there, beaches over there.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you allowing me into your world for a little bit, and the longest conversation we've ever literally had.
And let me add on one more thing to that. So people ask me, guys, I'm in a Facebook group, and guys say, what was the process like moving to Colombia? So, what made you decide on it? What this, that, and that? So I met a guy, and he came here to Cartagena, and we talked. He actually interviewed me. He has a YouTube video of me, and I said, what is it for you? He said, well, I just want to make sure where I move is the best place. I said, what do you mean the best place? I said, what is that? He said, I want to make sure it's the best. I'm like, I said, let me put it to you like this. Okay, I'm happy in Cartagena. Now, if I visit Thailand or if I visit El Salvador or wherever, and I'm like, man, I like this better than Cartagena. Like, I'm driving a Mercedes now with all the bells and whistles. So if I test drive a Bentley, this is a little better than my Mercedes.
Right.
I'm still happy with the Mercedes. And I'm not going to look like I should have waited 5 or 6 more years trying to find a Bentley when I know I'm happy in the Mercedes right now.
Okay.
So there's an apartment in this building that was for sale it was on the 24th floor. And the higher up you go, the more valuable the property gets because you get a better view.
Okay.
It was for the same price that I paid for mine. And they're redoing the beach. They're putting a boardwalk on the beach. They're investing millions in the beach.
Okay.
Which is just want to do nothing but help the property value here.
Right.
He passed on it because the owner would not do little upgrades that he could have probably spent maybe $1,000.
Oh, wow.
With labor and everything to do himself. I'm like, for real? Okay. All right.
He just wasn't ready.
Keep on looking for that Bentley. You had the Mercedes available that you could have done a few upgrades to right now.
what are you waiting on, man? You know, you're in your late 50s now too. It's not like you're 30 years old, 40 years old, you're still grinding, you know, trying, you know, and you've got 40, 30, you know, more years. I look at I got maybe 20 more summers. And
Okay.
I got 20 more summers. I'm not going to waste any more of these summers like COVID was, like the summer of 2020 was taken away from me. Trying to find the perfect place. That's illogical for me.
Okay.
That's illogical. Looking at Shell, I was 100% happy with Shell, but we had problems, just like any couple has problems.
Oh, for sure.
So for me to not marry Michelle because she wasn't perfect, that's ludicrous.
Right.
That's ludicrous. No, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for happy.
Okay.
Because, you know, everything has ups and downs. So if I was in a relationship, the downside would be, I can only date one woman now, and I lose that variety. But now I'm like, I don't have that consistency of, and you know, the comfort of having one woman to love me that I had when I had Michelle. So I look at it. So if I find her, I find her. If I don't, I'm going to continue to be Mr. International Playboy. As much as my bank account will allow.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
Because, you know, I haven't found a Build-A-Bear yet.
That is fair. That is fair. Carey, thank you so much for this conversation.
I enjoyed this. I hope this helps someone.
Yes.
I hope it helps someone. And hopefully I can view somebody else's that will help me.
That is what this is all about, us sharing our journey. And we're not alone in doing this. Everybody's trying to figure this out and doing it their way.
And another thing too, this may help somebody. A guy told me one time, and this gave me a good perspective on life too. It was after Shell had passed, and I was talking about some of the things I was doing. And this, he said, "Man, you winning." He said, "You have taken the hand you were dealt, and you're winning with it." I'm like, "Wow, you're right." So, life is a journey that has to be played, has to be ridden, has to be traversed, however you say. So whatever comes at you in that journey, you have two choices. You only have two choices. You only have two choices. The two choices are be happy or be unhappy. Those are your only two choices. It's not any more complex than that.
Okay.
So it's going to happen. What has happened has happened. There's no reset button. You're not playing a video game. So in that journey that is happening, be happy or be unhappy. Well, happy feels a whole lot better than unhappy.
It does.
So be happy. That doesn't mean you're not going to cry. That doesn't mean you're not going to incur days where sadness overtakes you. But in that, it doesn't mean get up every morning. Oh, my wife, my husband is gone. Oh, woe is me. And I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I miss Michelle. I mean, it's this beyond description. We all know that. Be happy or be unhappy. Make a decision. Happy feels a whole lot better than unhappy. It feels a whole lot better than unhappy.
It does. And you have chosen that.
Yeah, I'm going to be happy.
So, Carey, I can relate to not wanting to pray. I can relate to not wanting to feel like there was any substance in connecting with God. I can relate to feeling like, why would someone even ask me to pray for them? Because my husband died. How God didn't hear me, and Mark did not die when I prayed and wanted that to happen. And I can relate to that feeling like I'm in church and people are preaching messages and it's shallow, that it has no substance. It's like those words are just flying in the air and they were not landing on me, to the point that when Mark passed, I could not sit in the church we went to on a regular basis because to me, it just seemed I was so numb. Nothing had any feeling for me. It seemed like I was just going through the routines of things. I couldn't find life in what I was dealing with. For me, what was a change, there were a group of ladies that I knew, and there were some guys, and it was a prayer line my girlfriend Georgette had. And they would get together every Tuesday. And I remember getting on that call and just being silent. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want anybody to engage me, but I knew that I needed to feel connected. I needed to feel connected to people that were not being churchy with me, but they were being genuine with their relationship with God. And everybody that was on that prayer line, I knew different trials and tribulations they were experiencing in life. I knew their authentic relationship with God as far as things that didn't go the way they wanted and some things that did. And them holding on to their relationship with God was a lifeline for me. It was a lifeline that when I was in a place of not trusting, and like you, I've always believed God, but I wasn't able to trust him to the full extent that I was before Mark died. That trust was severed. It would have been like being in a relationship and finding out somebody lied on you or they deceived you and misled you. Because one of the things for me that when Mark died, I remember talking to my older sister and I'm in the hospital and he just died. And I remember telling her, I loved him. No, I remember telling her, I love him. I love him. How is he dead? How is this man I have loved for 30 years? Can I say in my heart that I love him in totality and he's not breathing? How can, and God says that he loves me and the plans that he has for me are good? How do all those work in the same universe, in the same moment of time? It did not reconcile in my mind at all. And it hurts so bad to think that I love God, I trust God, and my husband is dead. How does God allow that to be? How do I still keep saying, am I an idiot for saying that I love God and Mark is dead? How does that work? And what I had to do for me, I had to be honest and just tell God, this is how I feel. I am not happy with this. This hurts. I don't like this. No part of this. And I remember waking up every day going, Mark is dead and I am alive. Ain't this some shiggity right here? Every day just doing that. And people reaching out to me that I could be honest with and be honest about how I feel and not try to hide that, not try to mask that, not try to give me a one-line Bible verse to try to make like it was all going to go away, because that was some trash to me.
Straight trash.
But so I started reading Job. I started looking at what his experience was like, and not read this like it was a fable, but to read this like I was Job. His children died, everything he lost, and when you read in Job, it talks about his material possessions, like his land, his cattle, and the people running to tell him that all the children died in the house, all this happened, all that happened. And then his body was covered in boils and all these other different things. He was straight mad. And then he had 3 friends that were trash, not helping the situation. Trash. Coming and telling him, well, what did you do wrong over here? Why did that happen? That probably happened to you because of this and all the other stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, this sucks. This sucks in so many different ways.
His friends were garbage.
And then reading how Job would come to God and say, what about this and what about that? And then God was saying, like, I don't have to answer you. Let's just be clear about that. But he did give him answers. He did speak to him. He did talk to him in his situation. And then he restored him. But it did take Job being honest about where he was. He complained about those raggedy friends. He complained about that raggedy wife that told him just curse God and die and doing all that. But what I saw in that, I saw God's compassion to Job in the most wretched situation. And God did show himself faithful. I, like you, I am not happy about the fact that Mark died. I am not a fan of that. If I could turn back time and make it change, oh, I would. I would quickly. But one thing that you said, that you have a life and you are happy, and that is where I see God's faithfulness in your life. That is where I see that you had the means to be able to relocate, to do different things. And another thing that I have done, and sorry to flip back, I have kept a little memo pad. And in talking with my therapist, when I was in Pennsylvania, she said, Tina, you got to find just something you're happy about. It may not be something big, but you have to find something that you can capture in life about. And that little memo pad, I would write every day just 3 things that I was happy about. It could be, I didn't get stuck in the rain without an umbrella. They made my coffee order right. That whatever those 3 things were every day, I would just lean into what those were. I wasn't really good at reading the Bible for a long time. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to pray and just really be praying and travailing. I didn't have the energy for that. When I moved here to Virginia, I joined a church, and I know God directed me there, and it's called Living Destiny Church. And one of the missions of that church is for every person, for their destiny to come to life. And I feel like when I came here, that was also part of me just not living, but beginning to thrive, to be able to say, okay, I'm here. What does that look like? And I've just cried out to God. I have cried out to help me with that heaviness of Mark's absence and to learn how to live. And it has been every conversation that I've had with someone, whether widow or widower, every visit to me, dealing with my therapist, every time I have journaled and released my feelings and my thoughts and given that to God, I feel like it's been one step closer to regaining what my relationship with God looks like versus what it was before. So it was a combination of that prayer group that I have, and I'm still part of that prayer group. We meet on Tuesdays and connect. And they asked me, I want to say it had been maybe about a year or so after Mark passed. And Reverend Georgette said, Tina, can you lead one day? And I almost dropped the phone. I was like, what? I ain't trying to be doing that. But her asking me to do that caused me to open up my Bible, to be able to read that word and to be sincere about what it was that God was saying to me and not doing. So when I'm saying in all that, it wasn't a switch, like it just came back on. It was little steps. It was steps over time, because there was a part of me that died when Mark died. And that numbness, that rawness, that lack of completion, I needed that back for me. There's not a place that anybody, any man, any friendship could fill that void of Mark dying for me. It took me recapturing and pulling back my own soul for myself. There's a thing in the Bible where it talks about that I must seek out my own soul's salvation in fear and trembling. I had to recapture the part of me that was snatched away. Have you ever seen The Matrix? And when Neo and Trinity are up there in the top and they like go up and then they come down, and Trinity and Neo's blind and he can't see, and it's like they're pulling him out, and then she goes, "No, I got you," and she pulls him back because they're trying to. You can see that part where they're sort of like pulling him out, and that's what it felt like to me when Mark died. A part of me was just gone, and every part of life whether it was the Bible study, friends coming to sincerely call on me, joining this church, I feel like that was them grabbing me saying, "No, I'm not going to let you go. I'm pulling you back into yourself and to recapture." And having a safe space to be honest about that is how my relationship with God, I feel like, has been not just restored, but I can trust God. And I couldn't trust God for so long because what I wanted did not happen. I did not want Mark to die that day. And to even propel that further, I want to say I had been carrying around a lot of magazines, and I wanted to make a vision board. But I didn't have a vision anymore. Everything that I saw what life was looking like was going to be with Mark in it. The idea of trying to create a life in his absence made no sense to me. And I was like, okay, I carry magazines from Pennsylvania to Virginia. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hope again. I'm going to dream again. I'll have a vision for my life. And I could not bring myself like to cut that magazine and just start making a vision board. And I could hear God saying, "Tina, I need you to trust me. I need you to trust me to be able to thrive, not just live." And I got out all the magazines. I got some, when you're in high school, the board papers that you have that you put like your science project on and stuff like that. And I got all that together. And I said, I'm going to start dreaming. I'm going to start dreaming of different things that I want in this life. And the only way for me to get there is part of trusting God. And I started, and this is huge. I don't even know if you can see it, but this is my gigantic vision board of all the stuff that I said I was going to start dreaming, that I was going to start living. Over here talks about dancing. Over here just talks about family, different things. And there's a component here talking about my faith. And I said, I'm a person of intentionality. And this was me deciding that I was going to start living, that I was going to start dreaming, that I was going to take steps to start trusting God. And he has shown himself faithful. In these conversations that I've been having with other widows or widowers or sharing their story, that to understand that we all go through that sense of hopelessness has been important to see. This is what grieving looks like. It is horrible. It is wretched. And that is why I asked you the question about what you have done with you in this process of grieving. You may find it helpful to maybe read some books on grief or losing a spouse. Sometimes hearing it from someone else's perspective has a way of putting it in order, and not order, but understanding that this is what it looks like, this level of pain. It may prove itself helpful to be able to do that. A lot of times in different communities, the idea of maybe doing that type of self-help, people equate that to being weak, but there's strength in unpacking the challenges of life. I look at it like this. If your arm got cut off, you would not just be out there with that thing bleeding. You would not just be out there, doing the one arm pull-ups and doing everything. And never have taken care of that arm. You would have went to the doctor, you would have gotten it stitched up. And what you said, that when Michelle left, there's a part of you that was gone. That part of you is the part that you may benefit from actually doing the same type of work you would do if that arm was missing. Because what goes on in this mind, that trauma that we experience by losing that significant other, Carey, part of that would be part of what I would say that would help you to learn to trust, that would learn to help you to believe and to know again. That could prove helpful for you in that process, because the pain is so much. And if you would allow me, I have a book that I would like to mail to you, and that has been helpful for me.
You know how much it costs to mail that book? It would cost you probably $250, $260 to mail it.
To mail a book? Okay, can I send it to you in Audible and then put that up so you can get it that way?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Sending stuff here is ridiculous.
Okay, we ain't doing ridiculous.
It would be cheaper for for you to tell me what it is and me to go on Amazon and buy it.
Okay. Oh, so I can send it to you. I can send it to Amazon and that'll be fine?
I think so.
Okay. And a friend of mine, the book is, I'll send you the name of it. But it's called I Wasn't Ready to Say Goodbye. And it's surviving, coping, and healing after the death of a loved one. And someone gave me this book and this workbook. And it was part of saving my life, because I didn't know where to go. I didn't have someone to talk to. I didn't have someone to lean in. And my friend Reggie, which is going to be a guest on the podcast at some point, he sent me this book immediately. And I went and purchased the workbook. And I literally just started devouring the book and reading it and hearing some of the things that they were telling me to do to walk through this process. And that was also part of me regaining myself, because who I am now is sort of different than who I was with Mark, because he's not here anymore. But I have learned what I look like, and I like me. I do love me.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It has been a journey recapturing, like I said, that thing with Neil, and pulling myself back and not letting myself slip away. So that would be my answer to how I find myself here now, at a place that I am willing to pray and to trust God, and to know God does look for my good in what is going on. Do I like it always? I'm gonna go back to what you say. Nope. But I have realized that it is part of the plan and it's part of the process. I believe that to the extent that you and I have never had this much of a conversation, even through both of our spouses passing. But I feel like this conversation was helpful. And so, but you're at a place, I think, that you need something different. And for this to be lined up for me doing this here, I think is maybe one of the steps in your process of regaining yourself.
Not ready to say goodbye.
Right.
I'll look it up on Amazon.
I Wasn't Ready to Say Goodbye, and you can find it on Amazon, the book and the workbook. And you can get them right on Amazon. So this is a gift I would like to give to you.
I'll send you my address and you see what.
Okay, so I can go on Amazon and then I can set it up, because the beauty of this, which is why I'm doing this, Widowhood Real Talk with Tina is a nonprofit. This is a 501c3. And about this is doing the podcast, having the conversations with widowers, their children, and different things, and providing resources for people that are grieving and to be able to journey through this. So this is exactly what this is about. So yes, that is why people have donated, for me to be able to give out these resources to be able to do this. So that is my why. That is how I've gotten here.
Okay.
Is that a good, that is the truth. That is the whole answer.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I know we thought we were done and then there was one more thing, right? All right. Thank you, Carey.
Thank you, Tina.
Hello, Widowhood. Wow. I almost have no words. I knew Carey was very upfront and honest. I really wasn't prepared for his level of candor. It was so refreshing, so thought provoking, and so many times just took my breath away. I love our conversation. I love about him being able to share his journey with Michelle, where he is now in Colombia, the life that he is developing for himself. And I love just when I thought we were all done talking, he asked me how I got to where I am in life and gave me an opportunity to share some tips with him. I am looking forward to him receiving the book that I recommended and hearing how he will unpack more of his journey. Thank you for being here with me. I am so hopeful that this conversation with Carey has helped you, or maybe share with someone that you know that's on this journey of widowhood, and be able to give them hope, healing, and encouragement. Like always, I am sorry for the person that you lost that has driven you to this conversation, but I hope being here with us is helping you along the way. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you for spending another episode with Widowhood Real Talk. If you found the contents of today helpful, share the episode to anyone you know who may need it. Subscribe to the show and tune into Widowhood Real Talk each week. Then visit widowhood-realtalkwithtina.org to join the community and access additional resources. Remember, you are not alone in this journey.